Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 22 with me, Dan, and the Slothz team as we're about to prepare for the Japanese Grand Prix. This is the first of 4 races before the end of the season, and we haven't got a big gap between our previous Grand Prix and this one, so we're going to go ahead straight into practice. One small disclaimer to get out of the way before we get on to the actual Grand Prix. For some reason, my Streamlabs was double recording the audio, so a lot of the next 4 Grand Prix, including the finale, unfortunately, are going to sound a little bit like it's being played through a drain pipe and you're stood at the other end. Not much I can do about it after the fact, and it's just something that I've got to look out for in the future. Anyway, we're getting through these. As you can see, I just failed that 75-point objective there, but we did get it on the second try. Unfortunately, it's wasted quite a significant amount of our time in practice 2. Now we're on to practice 3 for the final one. Trying to get as many of these points as possible before we head into the end of the season. We are still kind of in a battle with Alpine, but I think we've got the situation under control. It's more a case of trying to beat multiple drivers now to 6th place in the Drivers' Championship. One of them being Carlos Sainz. Well, we'll see the rest of the results later on to see where we sit. So we're straight into the starting grid for the Japanese Grand Prix. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell, as we've got Lando Norris and Max Verstappen leading the pack away, followed by Norris's teammate Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc. Behind them we have Carlos Sainz. He's alongside George Russell in the first of the Mercedes. Then the other Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, followed by Esteban Ocon, who gets up to the top 10. And finally, Lance Stroll and Kevin Magnussen round out the top 10 starters for this race. They're followed by Yuki Tsunoda at his home Grand Prix. He's alongside Théo Pourchaire in our other car. Oscar Piastri and Robert Schwartzman line up behind them. Then we have Sergio Perez with a penalty, starting alongside Zhou Guanyu, way down the order, followed by Alex Albon and me, as I screwed up my qualifying lap and ended up starting really far down the field. Then we've got Mick Schumacher alongside Daniel Ricciardo on the penultimate row, and finally it's Pierre Gasly and Nicholas Latifi. Well then, here we go with the Japanese Grand Prix, and we've got 5 red lights and a hell of a lot of ground to make up at a circuit that we're not very good at here, as you may have seen in previous episodes on the channel. But we do actually get to the end, which is something that we've not done in the past, as we go sliding up the inside of the Williams there and going to challenge Sergio Perez. Just having a little bit of fun at the back of the field. We go round the outside, actually, there. This is a section that I particularly struggle with, especially in the My Team cars when they're a little bit, let's say, not very good at going around corners. And we'll jump on board as we chase down the lead Haas. Sorry, the second place Haas, Oscar Piastri, who's coming to the end of his first full season. Up ahead, actually, Robert Schwartzman as well, another driver who is coming to the end of their first full season. And into the hairpin we go, up the inside of Piastri. We try and get past Schwartzman as well, but he puts the squeeze on us into the hairpin. And I think we made a little bit of contact there with Piastri. I'm sure he won't mind, but it did cause that yellow flag to come out just momentarily there. And down towards a fan favourite section of the track, and actually one that I quite like quite a lot. 130R on the way, flat out on F1 22. Robert Schwartzman up ahead. We'll see how much we can clear down that space between us. Quite considerably, actually. And we go late on the brakes there, up the inside of our teammate making contact. But we get past Théo Pourchaire. There's no racing, there's no team orders here. It's just racing between us teammates. And it was on full display right there as we follow Kevin Magnussen. We actually have to lift there before we go into 130R, just otherwise we would go careering into the back of the Haas. But we get around the outside into the chicane, just about keep it on the circuit as the rear tries to get away from us on the exit of the corner, and we'll power down the straight. Robert Schwartzman doing a good job at covering Kevin Magnussen there, meaning that we don't have to worry about him from behind. Always good to see that happening, and it makes our life a lot easier. Up next, though, we got Yuki Tsunoda as we ride on the TV broadcast, chasing down the man at his own Grand Prix. He's actually moved up a couple of places since the start of the race, partially because George Russell was coming to the pits at some stage. And we're going to the outside into the chicane, but we're not going to get the pass on this occasion. Not that it matters, though, because we're coming into the pits to respond to Russell's early stop. And as are a few other drivers actually up ahead doing the same thing. Coming down the pit lane, anyone else in? There's the Alpine of Esteban Ocon. We'll be looking to try and get ahead of him as quickly as possible, as we seem to bullet time the pit crew there, moving in some weird fashion, but we'll ignore that for now. Coming out of the pit lane, we are dead last beside Sergio Perez, but we rejoin on lap 11 just behind Lewis Hamilton. We're in P9, somehow have the fastest lap. I'm not entirely sure why, unless it's because we're going around 130R flat, but we've got 2 places ahead of us that we could easily take for the end of the Grand Prix if we play our cards right. And you can see Stroll is getting Hamilton right up behind him, not actually getting on with it to the disliking of Lewis Hamilton, and it's playing them right into our hands as we approach the hairpin now, closing in even further. I'm pretty sure the AI do lift through 130R, so we're already within pretty good distance to strike Hamilton at least. As for Stroll, though, I've just noticed that he is on the hard tyre, which may explain why he is going so slow. I'm not sure what the thinking is with the AI sometimes when they get to the end of the Grand Prix and they just switch onto the hard tyre, even if it's probably not the best option for them. Anyway, here we go into 130R. It's going red, but we managed to get up the inside of Lewis Hamilton. Now hard on the brakes now for the chicane. And Lance Stroll is up next. Actually, funnily enough, up ahead, there's another battle going on between the other Mercedes of George Russell and Esteban Ocon. I don't think we're going to have enough time to get up to them, though, as we enter the penultimate lap. And Lance Stroll, all over the place, as he usually is. I've actually switched to go on board with him now because the camera angles were doing some weird shit, and I honestly couldn't be asked to put it in the video if it looked like that. Here's the onboard with us there, up the inside of Hamilton, hard on the brakes, and then around onto the pit straight we go. Little bit of shuffling going on at the back of the car there. It's a bit difficult to go flat out of that corner. But here we go, close it up on the back of Stroll. He's weaving everywhere, and we managed to get past him. I mean, I uploaded a clip just yesterday of Esteban Ocon being drunk on the French wine, and I think actually Lance Stroll is just as bad, either on the French stuff or he's been sampling some home-brewed Canadian wine, if there is such a thing. I would imagine there is. Anyway, we're on to the final lap. As you can see, we picked up a bit of damage from Lance Stroll's weaving. What a surprise. And that has enabled them to close up in Sector 1 as we come through here. We're going to be, for the time being, I think, under threat up until we get to the run to 130R, in which case that our superior straight line speed and ERS deployment will just absolutely destroy the Alpine and the Mercedes. Whether or not Stroll will actually retain that position ahead of Hamilton, who knows, because, of course, Stroll is still using the hard tyre, as he was literally a few minutes ago. Just noticing down the left-hand side as well, we've lost Lando Norris from the Grand Prix, and that will seriously affect McLaren's ability to win this Constructors' Championship, potentially, and it does also put a bullet hole in Lando Norris's attempt to win the championship as well. I think he was still in contention, even if it was a fool's hope. But here we come, round the final corner, and we will cross the line here in Japan with a P7 to our name, which is exactly what we want to see. And we are, of course, ahead of at least one Alpine as well. Driver of the day goes to us. That was as I just get rid of the music that was playing in my ears again, which I'd forgotten to turn off. But Max Verstappen picks up another win as he attempts to claw back some lost honour. He is the world champion at the moment and needs to up his game if he wants to get a second title. This will certainly help that. I'm not sure where Charles Leclerc finished just yet, but if he's on that podium, then it's not going to have helped him too much. Oh, there he is. Okay, well, never mind. Max Verstappen marginally gains on the championship leaders. And here we are with the final results, of course. Max Verstappen picked up the win, followed by Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc, who also got the fastest lap. Then we had Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Esteban Ocon, myself, Lance Stroll, Lewis Hamilton, and Yuki Tsunoda picked up the final point. Over in the Drivers' Championship, Charles Leclerc remains at the top of the table ahead of Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris. Max Verstappen jumps up to 4th. He's followed by George Russell, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, me, Lewis Hamilton, and Esteban Ocon. Further down the order, we have Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Daniel Ricciardo, Nicolas Latifi, Teo Pourchaire, Robert Schwartzman, Joe Guan Yu, and Mick Schumacher. And finally, over to the constructors, it's McLaren at the top still, just ahead of Ferrari, followed by Red Bull, Mercedes, Slothz, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Williams, Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Aston Martin. That's all for now. We'll catch you at USA Grand Prix.